inside the Loft 100 studios here in Southern California. The Big Biz Show rolls on. Hope you guys are having a great day. We are, because we are listening to the Day Trader Quattro, DTC, as they're known throughout the world. Back here at the bar, it's Costa. It is Mary Bird Godwin, and of course, it is Sully.
And more importantly, it is Steve J.J. Wiseman, the scam man. I know that we're going to be speaking to, at some point, Corey Perlman again, who is our social media expert.
Yes.
And I know he's going to be talking about the sniff test in terms of the human test in terms of AI. Can you tell if it's AI or not?
I think we're lucky that you still can tell what is AI and what is not, but man, it is getting
I don't think everyone
really
can.
good.
I don't think my parents could tell.
I was going to say most people can tell, but
yeah.
I think the elderly
older generations can't.
And younger. In fact, Steve's here. Steve, is it the same? Welcome again, bud. Is it the same as it was prior when you used to say the most vulnerable to scams are the elderly and young adults? Is that still the same in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, it was out from California. UCLA just did another study showing that seniors are more susceptible to scams because a part of our brain that deals with skepticism becomes less viable as we age. So they are more trusting. But it is kind of interesting that the Gen Zers are a close second, and part of it is because so many scams are, contained on the internet and technology, and the kids just think they're bulletproof when using technology.
Steve, I recently saw a video online of a giant aquarium in Japan, and the glass breaks, and millions of gallons and fish and sharks and stuff pour out, and all the people looking at the the animals, and the sharks start biting people and stuff.
Turns out fake?
Well, I guess it was fake. Now, of course it was fake, but it's amazing the number of people like, oh my God, prayers up, all this stuff for these types of people, for the people that allegedly were eaten by the sharks at this aquarium. But I mean, how fast is it evolving, AI I'm talking about, to the point where all of us are going to be, I'm not sure if that's real or not.
Everything that we see.
Everything,
yeah,
yes.
I mean, you do have to question just about anything and everything. And part of the problem is, and along with my work in scams and white collar crime, I'm also a professor of media law. And when you talk about the sharing of things like that on social media, people share that, and they share negative stuff far more than positive, and people see it and they believe it. Mm-hmm. And right now, there's really no regulation in regards to AI as far as being able to know if it's legitimate or not. And the scammers are also using AI to create better phishing scams. And an interesting one is when you need a customer service number, you may Google it or go to a search engine, and these scammers have been able to manipulate those using AI, so that AI will harvest the phony customer service numbers that are put up there by the scammers. So you think because AI is telling you this is the customer service number for Apple or Netflix or whatever, it's legitimate, but instead using AI, it's been manipulated by the scammers, and you're going to get caught.
I think it's interesting that there's even attorneys now. You know how advertising agencies, Mary, suddenly turn themselves into digital marketing agencies?
Yep.
Now there's attorneys, and Steve, I was going to ask you about this, that are specializing in reputation defense when you're being accused or being, I've told you guys before that not only are they in publications or dating sites or with our likeness of just a picture of me on set. I mean, they're not even doing AI. They're just, they, if you're a Vortex figure anywhere, I think James is on the cover of Cat Monthly this week.
Again?
Knitting cat sweaters without his authorization. No, but Steve, this is turning into a corner of the world where the legal profession is taking it seriously, as evidenced by the fact that one guy got 10 years in prison when the prosecutor is only offering 8 years, asking for 8 years in prison, and the damn judge got hacked in the middle of the trial. Talk about that.
Yeah, this was really good. So there's a group, a hacking group, notorious hacking group called Scattered Spider. It's a bunch of teenagers and young 20s in the UK and the United States. So these guys, though, are not small scale. They're the ones that hacked into and did the ransomware attack on the MGM Resorts and Casino and Caesars and a number of insurance companies. And they don't even use necessarily sophisticated technology. They use social engineering. They call these companies, pose as an employee, and manipulate these people psychologically to allow them to get access. So the first member of Scattered Spider was actually tried and convicted recently, and what he was doing was hacking into cryptocurrency wallets. He would get people to give him the information, and then he would call the cell phone providers who provided the dual factor authentication, the code that would be sent, and boom, he gets into their accounts. But like you said, the prosecutor was requesting 8 years in prison, but one of the other members of Scattered Spider during the trial actually hacked into the judge, and the judge was so pissed off, he said, "No, you're not getting 8, you're getting 10 years."
I mean, it doesn't get any better. Are you still concerned that we're going to see AI be so accurate that it's going to be difficult for even law enforcement to tell that you weren't at the scene of the crime when you were actually, accepting an Oscar or whatever? I mean, honestly, it's getting to the point where I can tell, but man, you got to take a look.
And some of it really is too good. I can't tell a lot of the times. Now, like you said, there are some things you can look for. Sometimes even occasionally there'll be an extra finger on someone's hand. But for the most part, it is really difficult to tell, and it's getting worse. And we don't have watermarks or regulations. And because of that, the scammers are going to be able to disrupt society in so many ways and perpetrate crimes in so many ways. It really does have me concerned.
What's interesting is and the thing that doesn't make it easy, and I'm not going to point to you, Mary, but I'm just pointing to the female in the room, is that if you take, like my daughter, for example, is on her honeymoon, and I'm seeing these pictures. My daughter, you saw the pictures of the wedding. She's gorgeous.
Yes.
But as I'm looking at it, something looks weird, so I expand the picture, and she's got a filter on the thing.
Yeah.
Filter on people's pictures nowadays look like AI.
Yes.
So when you look at AI and you try to go in, well, that must be a filter, it must be real. So remember when you put out the edict that when you get an email where there's a typographical error or grammatical error, or if there's a logo that's messed up, you need to put out the next version of your book, Steve, to talk about how to identify AI and scams, because I think that's going to be a tough one, but that's what we really need.
Yeah, actually, we're working on that, although you keep making so much work for me. Yeah, you had 5,000 scams of the day for scammers said, "Oh, Steve, it'll be easy. You can do that." And then why don't you write a book on it?
You even had to sell your llamas. You didn't have time to take care of them.
Oh, gosh.
Good to see you, bud.
Stephen J.J. Weissman, he is the Scamicide man, the scam man. Scamicide.com is a website. Go there. Save yourself some trouble. Save yourself some money. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Big Biz Show. As always, to all of you out there for being with us, we appreciate it. We'll see you next time.